I was not expecting to get an arch rival today, but
okay, hopefully.
here we are.
Come on, man.
Okay, so we are live. Arch Rivals, episode 3. As you can see, my co-host, Mr. Alex Aldape, got sucked in by the black hole of the Raiders. So, yeah, one-man show tonight. We do have a lot of great material for the evening. A lot of great articles and reviews of the games for the weekend. So, should be hopefully awesome. Hopefully I can entertain everybody. We have quite a few people in the room. So, let's pretty much just get down to business. It was a rough weekend for football. The picks were crazy, and there was a lot of weird news going on, including the loss of Jimmy Garoppolo for the 49ers, a non-contact torn ACL injury. That's a very big hit for them. They already lost their starting running back, and now they're going to lose their starting quarterback. So, yeah, that's not great. Not great at all for them. That pretty much just killed their chances of going for a division. They did end up losing that game to the Chiefs and potential MVP candidate. You all know who he is. Come on. Who you kidding? We will, however, get into that game as well. Also, there's also this lovely little tidbit that I will share with everybody. It's all about Mr. Le'Veon Bell, who still has not signed a fucking contract yet. And we got this announcement.
Update. We still have no fucking clue where this guy is.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell still missing. Unbelievable. Other news, let's see here. There's a lot of weird news this week in the NFL. Multiple injuries. Chris Conte from the Bucs is on the IR. Hurt himself in the Monday night game last night. And believe it or not, in the wake of Garoppolo getting hurt. Now, I thought this was actually pretty weird, but in the wake of Garoppolo getting hurt, they're not going after Colin Kaepernick. What a shock. What a shock in the NFL that the 49ers have a great quarterback sitting out there and they're not going to fucking go after him. Uncensored sports, people. That's how it is. All right. So, we're going to kind of break down some of these games here. We also have the picks. The phone line is open if you wish to call in and talk some sports. Unfortunately, again, my co-host is stuck in the black hole of Raider Nation. I know he's currently watching. Dude, I hope you had have a better night than you did at the daytime. And I'll just put on a fucking show, man. Holy shit. All right. We're going to go off with the slate of games, and then after the games, we'll, kind of update everybody on what we picked and the overall. So, to start off the NFL schedule, we had the Saints and Falcons going at each other. What a fucking shootout. Unbelievable. What a shootout. Final score of that game, 43-37 in OT. Saints pull out the victory. This game here, a lot of fantasy people had Drew Brees as not that quarterback that you wanted to start because he apparently does not play well against the Falcons in Atlanta. However, Mr. Drew Brees, he fucking kicked ass. and went 39 for 49, 396, 3 scores, and 2 rushing touchdowns in that game. 66 yards rushing on 16 carries by Alvin Kamara. Leading receiver was Michael Thomas, 10 catches, 129. He seems to be unbelievable and is leading the league in catches this year. Unreal. For the other side, on the Falcons side, I'll pull up those stats real quick. Oh, if it lets me do that. Fun. Love the NFL app for being kind of up to date on some of these things. Matt Ryan, 26 of 35, 374, 5 scores. Leading rusher, Tevin Coleman, 33 rushing yards on only 15 carries. Now, normally when Coleman is the main running back, the Saints are undefeated. I believe they were 7-0 at that point, and I guess that was their first loss for the thing. Matt Ryan also had 12 yards rushing. Calvin Ridley was their leading receiver at 7 catches, a $146, and 3 scores on 8 total targets. So, yeah, I mean, you drop one pass, you're great. The almighty Julio Jones, 5 catches, 96 yards. All in all, a shootout. If you get the chance to catch this game on replay somewhere, go do it. It's a fucking phenomenal game. I enjoyed watching it. I was watching a lot of games this weekend, and unfortunately, with that game, both Alex and I picked Atlanta, being the fact that the game was in Atlanta, and they both, we just pissed the pooch on that one, so we were both 0-1 for the days so far. Washington and, let's see, hold on. They never put it the same way back twice. Well, apparently they didn't want to list the game for the Washington game. Hold on. Okay, so it was Packers-Redskins. Final score, 31-17 Redskins. And I had kind of picked this one. I didn't think that Aaron Rodgers was just going to be really phenomenal. He's dealing with a bum wheel. And just one of those things, you know, you see Aaron Rodgers and you expect like a man walking on water. Unfortunately, not in that case. 27 of 44, 265, 2 scores. He obviously didn't rush very much. He usually does rush for a bunch of yards, but only 13 on 2 carries. Their leading rusher was Aaron Jones, 6 carries, 42 yards. Jamal Williams, 5 for 29. No rushing touchdowns on the day. Field goal was their other score. Redskins, Alex Smith, Mr. Efficiency, 12 of 20, 220, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Leading rusher, this is the star of the game, one of the stars of the day. I think a lot of people decided that they were going to put him out on the geriatric train to go to the glue factory. 19 carries, 120, 2 scores, averaged 6.3 yards. Now, for a running back of his age, you don't really expect that very much. However, he was the star of the game for that. We both picked, actually, the Redskins on that one, so we evened out at 1-1 for the day. Next game was Indy-Philly. Now, this was a game that we kind of split between the two of us. Philly is the reigning Super Bowl champs, and they are vulnerable. I will say that they are vulnerable. Their defense is not, I would say, not as efficient as it was last year in the game. Andrew Luck, 25 of 40, 164 and a score. Jacoby Brissett came in for a pass. He didn't make anything. Rushing, however, I thought was kind of a little weird. Luck, a 33-yard carry. Jordan Wilkins, 6 for 19. Nyheim Hines, that's a very great name for a running back. 5 carries, 18. Unbelievable in offensive stats here. It was also the return of Carson Wentz. Now, Carson Wentz was one of the leading MVP guys last year, and I got to tell you, I was pretty impressed in his performance for the game on Sunday. Ran the ball, three carries for 10. Wendell Smallwood, 10 carries, 56 yards. Carson Wentz, however, did pass for 25 times, 37 attempts, 255, a score, and a pick. Again, first game back, I got to say that he did spread out the ball very well. 8 different receivers. Ertz had the second most catches at 73 yards. Dallas Goedert, seven catches for 73 yards. He had the only passing touchdown. All in all, I got to tell you that there were turnovers galore in this. Philly had 4 turnovers. Really, when you have 3 or more turnovers in a game, you're usually slated for an L, but Philly overcame that offensively. Alex and I split. I picked Philly. He picked Indy, thinking that the luck train would go. So it's a pretty uneven thing. One of the stories of the day is Minnesota and Buffalo. And knowing the fact that Buffalo had a corner retire halftime in week 2, Buffalo has not been playing well. Their offense has been utterly miserable. However, in this game, the betting line was 16.5 going in to the game on Sunday at 1 o'clock in Minnesota. And I mean, the lines on this weren't that great, but knowing the fact that Minnesota's got a short week this week and they are playing Thursday night against the LA Rams, maybe they just might have overlooked Buffalo. That's a lot of the storyline coming out of Minnesota. Offense really did not show the fuck up. My phone was going off the fucking hook for this shit. Yes, Alex, it's up, it's running. It's fucking amazing. I sound totally different even in my fucking headset. Josh Allen got his first start for the Buffalo Bills. 15 of 22, 196, a score. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 10 carries, 39 yards. Yeah, I don't know what the hell is up with the hat, but yeah, I'm just going to go with it. Fuck it. So everybody can see this lovely, gorgeous football field behind me. Last minute pick for the background and the phone number. Chris Ivory, 20 carries, 56 yards. All in all, I think Buffalo's offense really did show up on this. The receivers, not very many catches, but more running backs out of the backfield than anything else. And then we'll go over here to Minnesota. This was another big thing that I think was a big issue. Kirk Cousins had to throw the ball 55 times. When you're throwing the ball that much, you know you're behind. 40 of 55, 296, a score and a pick. The run game, non-existent. 6 carries for 14 yards, and that's between 3 rushers. You know it's bad then. Adam Thielen, leading receiver, 14 catches, 105. Again, fumbles galore. 4 turnovers on fumbles and 1 with a pick. 5 is the magic number. You're guaranteed to lose. I'm not going to say that there's anything else different about that. But all in all, probably, if not the biggest upset of the day. Unreal. That game, we both pissed the pooch out, and the game did cover the fucking spread of 16.5. Although Buffalo was getting 16.5, so they technically scored 44 points. Unreal. Big L for the day. And that was that. So now we move to my co-host, lovely Oakland Raiders. And this game was actually a pretty good game till the fourth quarter. and I was flipping through a lot of games on 5 different screens. Alex, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it out loud. Your team sucks. I think Gruden was probably now the biggest mistake because he just doesn't know how to coach. You got a lead going into the fourth quarter. You're up 3. You shouldn't be giving up that many points. So that defense is definitely have to revamp that shit and get back on the ball. I'm sorry, Khalil Mack probably would have not had that happen, actually. Carr didn't have a bad day. 27-39, 345, a score and 2 picks. Marshawn Lynch, 19 carries, 64 yards, and a rushing score. It's bad, though, because, like, now you look at this whole rushing thing and the receiving thing. Jordy Nelson had 6 catches for 173 yards and a score. So think of it that way. But still, you're up points in the fourth, and I don't know. Maybe the Dolphins are for real this year. Maybe that defense is come to play finally, and maybe the addition of Mr. Amendola, who, even though he was on my team last year, I still hate the little bastard. But Ryan Tannehill, 17-23, 289, 3 scores. Albert Wilson on a gadget play, 1 pass, 52-yard score. Tannehill was leading rusher with 3 carries, 26 yards. Albert Wilson, 2 catches, 74. Jakeem Grant, 2 for 70. That'll definitely get your average up. And Mr. Amendola, 3 catches, 42 yards. So maybe that is a big thing out there in Miami. But I do agree with Alex. Maybe the Raider fans should just watch 3 quarters of football and not worry about the fourth. However, on that game, I did pick the Dolphins. It wasn't any offense to Alex on that one, but I did like the numbers better on that Dolphins game than I did the Raiders. We move now to Baltimore and Denver. Now, the main number for me for picking this game was the defensive pressure stat. And usually when you get a lot of defensive pressure on the quarterback in the backfield, the offensive line kind of crumbles a little bit. You are going to cause havoc. And those who know me from playing football back in the day, I loved playing defense. And just causing havoc in itself is just probably one of my top things. Case Keenum for the Broncos, however, did go 22 for 34, 192 yards and a pick. That's that defensive pressure I was talking about. Leading receiver, Royce Freeman, 13 carries, 53 yards. Emmanuel Sanders had 1 catch for 35 and a score. Leading receivers, Demaryius Thomas, 5 for 63, no scores. Sanders, 5 for 38. And then the one turnover, which you really don't think is going to be the big deal. But in this game it was. Baltimore did put on a show offensively. Flacco, 25 for 40, 277 and a score. On the ground, Alex Collins, 18 for 68, running touchdown. Javoris Allen, 6 for 7, a rush. He also had the receiving touchdown on the day. John Brown, 5 carries, 86 yards. There also was a big fight in this game where a player got ejected for punching people in the pile. Kind of ballsy if you're going to try to punch people in the pile and you're being videotaped. I really kind of hope that the fighting's really got to stop. It really, really does stop. You're out there to play a fucking game. Baseball is like... Football and baseball are like the same. It's a fucking kid's game. You want to go out there, and I know you want to win. You want to succeed all the time, but you're out there to fucking play a game and do a job, not fucking beat the shit out of each other in a pile. I mean, it could get a little redundant at some points, but shit happens. I mean, you know. We did actually both pick the Ravens on that game again, once again. and it kind of looked pretty even. We were at like 3-2. I was at 3-2 at that point. But the Atlanta and the Minnesota games kind of killed me a lot. I was on a roll for a while. I think it was like 4-2 or 3-2, and I was feeling pretty healthy about the day until came up on this game, which was Carolina and Cincy. Final score was Carolina 31, Bengals 21. There was another big star on the day in this game for Carolina, and I'm going to lead off with Carolina first. Cam Newton, 15 of 24, 150, 2 touchdowns, throwing. Gotta tell you, Cam Newton's not the greatest passer in the world. However, he had a pretty good percentage. He was over 60%. The run game, however, that was big for the Carolina Panthers, and that's a dragon when you got all those guys out there running around. Christian McCaffrey, guy they say couldn't run between the tackles, 28 carries for $184. The unfortunate thing is he averaged 6.6 yards and didn't get into the end zone. That's kind of ridiculous. But when you got freaking 6'4" Cam Newton at 10 rushes on 36 yards, you expect him to score. The receivers, there was 7 different receivers. Leading receiver was Devin Funches, 4 catches, 67 yards. And then after that, it's pretty much just low numbers. But when your run game is going for 230, unreal. I think that was the biggest part of the game is the Bengals really just couldn't stop the running game. And Andy Dalton had 4 picks. 29 for 46, 352, 2 scores. 4 picks. Damn. Unreal. Their total running game led by Giovanni Bernard, 12 carries, 61 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. Tyler Boyd led the receiving corps, 6 catches, 132. Tyler Eifert, 6 for 74. AJ Green, 5 for 58. They forced a fumble at least. Had two interceptions. But the turnovers just really didn't even out. Unbelievable. But again, the final score was Carolina 31, Cincinnati 21. Alex actually won that pick. I'm surprised. I really did go with Cincy. I thought they were going to be a little bit in the upswing because that AFC North or Central or whatever the fuck that division is, that division is going to be up for grabs. Big time up for grabs. So then we pissed away the pooch again. Giants and Texans. I was actually really shocked when that game actually started, and being the fact that I'm in the New York market, woke up to the fact that Zimmer fucking changed the offensive line. Very, very shocked. In this game here, we start off with the Giants. Eli Efficient Manning, 25 of 29, 297. Threw for 2 touchdowns. Leading rusher was Saquon Barkley, the upstart. He's got potential. I'm still not going to hang a fucking hat on him yet. It's only the 3rd game of the season. 17 carries, 82 yards and a rush. Jonathan Stewart's been like the forgotten man in the fucking Giants backfield. Hey Marlies, how are you? Thank everybody for watching tonight. As I said before, my co-host is stuck in a black hole somewhere. I'm sorry, Alex, but it's kind of funny that it's a black hole of fucking the Raiders. Odell Beckham led the Giants receivers with 9 catches, 109 on 10 targets. Shepard and Ellison got the receiving touchdowns, and then we'll swing over to the Texans, which I got to tell you, the Texans defense, they were pretty clueless in this game. Not normally used to seeing the Texans running around like chickens without heads. And I thought that was actually pretty shocking because in this game, J.J. Watt had 3 sacks, which matched his brother from the first week of the year, who had 3 sacks. Deshaun Watson didn't have really that bad of a day, 24-40, 385, 2 scores, and a pick. Led the rushers with five rushes, 36 yards. And I think this is another thing that I think Houston is going to have an issue with. Now, I know that they did have some issues with their offensive line. But when you only rush the ball 14 times for your running backs and you get 23 yards, that might be a little bit of a concern. Deshaun Watson did hit quite a few receivers. He hit 9 receivers in the game. Will Fuller, 5 catches for 101. Hopkins, 6 for 86. Fuller did have a score. Lamar Miller out of the backfield had a score. Hey, Jackie Richmond. Hey, Vin. What's up? I'm running Arch Rivals by myself tonight. Alex is stuck somewhere in a black hole. All in all, I mean, the Giants actually did impress me this week with the change in their offensive line. And should be interesting to see how well the game plan for that one goes. So, only time will tell. Maybe the Giants have actually found something in their game planning where they can run around and just go crazy. And Chew, thank you for the reaction to the video, even though you're not on it, which I think is actually pretty funny. Oh, then again, you might be at work. So, who knows? All right, so our picks on that, we both actually picked the Texans on that in the battle of the 0-2s. However, we both lost. Shit happens. Indefinitely true on that, Miss Mitro, that they actually did look like a football team and not a peewee team. And I'll still rag on them anyway, but they're 1-2 in last place division, so we'll see what happens with them. So this was a very interesting game of the week, where in my brain I said one thing last week on the game, and I wrote something totally different down. Tennessee and Jacksonville. Now, I'll admit, Jacksonville whooped the Pats' ass last week. They did. I'll admit it. You don't have a full fucking complementary of receivers, and your defense is like Swiss cheese. You're going to have a tendency to not be able to play a great game. Now, Blaine Gabbert actually started this game for the Titans. And apparently pissed the pooch away. But Mr. Mariota, to save the day, 12 of 18, 100 yards in limited action. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 57 yards. This was a battle of the field goal games. It was almost like a freaking football game that went into extra innings. A little on the boring side. Not very many highlights out of this game. However, Tennessee actually held Jacksonville to 6 fucking points. Unfucking real. The Titans can hold the Jaguars to fucking 6 points, then a lot of other teams should be able to do that as well. But a battle of field goals for a game, unreal. It's not let. Oh, there it goes. Bortles 21-34, 155. And they lit the Pats up the fuck a week before, and you couldn't light up the Titans. Are you for real? We're going to be hearing about this bullshit all year long. The Jaguars beat up the Pats, but they can't fucking beat the goddamn Tennessee Titans. Fucking pitiful. Leading rusher was TJ Yeldon. Still no fucking star running back in this game. How fun is that? No Leonard Fournette. 19 carries, 87 yards total as a team. And their own running back led their receivers with 6 catches and 46 yards. So, defense pretty much was a huge part of that game. And like I was saying before, mentally, I was supposed to put Jacksonville down on the paper. Now, I actually wrote Tennessee for some reason. I think maybe it was because Tennessee was getting points in this game. And Alex did fucking pick Jacksonville. So maybe the mental mistake was actually great because I won a 3-point game with the Titans. Yeah. I don't know. One of those things. So we're going to move to Kansas City, San Francisco. Karasu, what's going on? As you can see, I'm using the new mic. Hope it sounds good, because I'm actually pretty much enjoying this thing. This game at the beginning, going into half, was pretty much a fucking drubbing by the Chiefs. Chiefs were up 35-10 at half. Garoppolo did start to come back, however, and then got hurt. Like I said before earlier in the show, a non-contact injury, torn ACL on his left knee, out for the season. Jimmy G, you will be missed. Yes, I said it. Jimmy G will be missed. He's not a Pat. And I'm not wearing Pat's colors tonight because my jerseys are in the laundry, so I'm wearing throwback Jamal Anderson. But Jimmy G, you will be missed. I love that fucking quarterback. He's fucking great. And he had a great stay in fucking New England, but now he got hurt out in San Fran. 20 of 30, 251, 2 scores. Leading rusher for 49ers, Matt Breida, 10 carries, 90 yards. Alfred Morris, 14 carries, 67, and a score. And on the third rush for Jimmy G, fucking 3 carries, 23 yards. We'll move over to the Chiefs, which my brother-in-law is all giddy about. And he has kind of a right to be all giddy about this Chiefs team because they are fucking stacked. They are stacked. I think, though, if the injury bug fucking doesn't help their defense, they're going to be screwed big time because, honestly, I don't think their fucking defense can stop anybody. They probably couldn't stop a freaking wet noodle running down the field, let alone fucking an NFL team. Mahomes, 24 for 38, 314, 3 scores. Leading rusher, Kareem Hunt, 18 carries, 44 yards, and 2 scores. Now, this is probably the biggest issue out of this whole Chiefs team, is that Kareem Hunt, even though this game he rushed for 18 carries, not really getting the ball a lot. It's almost like they're stuffing the offensive line and making Mahomes pass and make a mistake at some point. I mean, I watched bits and pieces of this game. I mean, to try to watch every NFL game on a calendar Sunday is a pain in the ass. Even when you got 5 screens, it's just your head is on a swivel the whole time. Like I said, I mean, at halftime, this game was a blowout when you're up 35-10. So you kind of wish that you just don't sit there and watch the rest of the game and you go on with your life. But, I mean, at the end, it was getting a little interesting, even though the 49ers lost by 11. Kelsey, 8 catches, 114. No visits to the end zone. Sammy Watkins, 5 catches, 55 yards, and a score. Demetrius Harris and Chris Conley had the other scores. Tyreek Hill, 2 catches, 51 yards. The guy is an absolute fucking cheetah. He's a speed burner. Speed does kill, and they burned the 49ers on Sunday. Now, we did split this one. Alex did pick Kansas City, and I did pick San Francisco, all because of my love for Jimmy G. And I bit the bullet on that one, but I am okay with it. I'm not worried about it. Only our first real week of picking games. Although I have picked the 3 Thursday night games, and I did pick all 3 of Thursday night's games this year so far. So I can say that's a bonus. Another game that we went a little opposite on. Now, I really did have a boner for this game. Because I figured this would be a big lead up to the Pats Lions game. And it was the Los Angeles Chargers. I still keep calling them the San Diego Chargers. Maybe I'm just going to keep calling them the San Diego Chargers until they move into their fucking new stadium. Because technically right now that stadium's really owned by the Rams. Final score in that game, Rams 35, Chargers 23. I caught a lot of flack on this game, too, because people were like, who did you pick in this game? And I picked the Rams. Alex went with the Chargers, a divisional game. Normally you don't pick for a divisional team, but in this game here, when you're picking games and shit, you gotta kind of go with the punches. You know, the gut feelings on who's gonna win what game. Phillip Rivers, 18 of 30, 226, 2 scores. Melvin Gordon leading rusher, 15 carries, 80 yards. Leading receiver, Mike Williams, 4 catches, 82 yards, and 2 scores. And I got to tell you, Mike Williams, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a long, prosperous career. I will put money on that. Antonio Gates, the ageless one, 3 catches, 45 yards. Keenan Allen, 3 for 44. And the Rams, the fucking Rams, 2-3 years ago were garbage in St. Louis. All of a sudden they moved to LA and they're a freaking juggernaut. They build that team up. It's basically like a perennial all-star team. Secondary, front seven, their offensive line, the receivers, the running backs. Oh my God. It's like getting hit by a Mack truck doing a $125. Holy shit. Jared Goff, 29 of 36, 354, 3 scores and a pick. Gurley, 23 carries for 105. Malcolm Brown, 5 for 42. Receiving, Robert Woods had a big day. 10 for 104 and 2 scores. Brandon Cooks, that gaunchy little bastard, fucking 7 catches for 90 yards. One of my new favorite receivers, though, is probably going to be Cooper Kupp. He's a pretty fast white guy. Let's just say that. He's a fast white guy. He had 4 catches for 71 and a score. All in all, I think the main storyline of this game is going to be the injuries in the Rams secondary. Again, they have a short week this week. They are going against the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday. I've got a call from a private number. This should be amusing. Let's see about this. You're on Arch Rivals.
I'm on Arch Rivals, man. Sorry, I freed up.
It's okay.
I'm not on camera, but it's okay.
That's all right.
So what do we got here? Well, I kind of lost where you were on the deal. I know you're going through the game recap.
Basically, I'm talking about this, how the injuries in the fucking secondary for the Rams is going to be a very big thing for Thursday night.
Now, who exactly did they lose?
They lost both.
Secondary.
They lost both Talib and the other corner. They both got
Peters.
Yeah, Peters got banged up on Sunday.
Man, that's huge though, because those guys are an extreme asset to that backup to that defense. I mean, those guys are, your shutouts, and I don't know. I don't. And then they play.
Minnesota.
They play on Thursday. They play,
Minnesota.
They play in Minnesota.
I believe so.
I don't know. No. Yeah, they play in Minnesota. Oh, no, they play at home again. They got 2 home games in a row. Why are so many teams having like 2?
To honestly tell you, I don't even know. I have no idea why that's even happening. But think of it this way, though.
I know
both the Chargers and the Rams both technically did play at home.
Yeah. I know we discussed that on Thursday. I think I mean, what do you think over the Vikings? I mean, I think they'll definitely do that, but
well,
I don't know, man. I don't know now that they've lost their 2 big. I mean, Talib and Peters are huge, man. That's a crucial part of your defense, and those guys they dominate the pass or the pass coverage.
Yeah, especially with
so,
Peters having the pick sixes this year so far.
Yeah.
So, all right. So
we're both of them in one game.
Yeah, so we actually have on the slate left 4 games. And then I want to go into the discussion about this roughing the passer bullshit.
Okay,
All right.
let's do that.
So we got Seattle and Dallas. Seattle 24, Dallas 13. Stats on this game: Prescott 19 of 34, 168, a score and 2 picks. Zeke Elliott 16 carries for 127. Not real big numbers in the receiving game because nobody really got over 60 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson 16 of 26, 192, 2 scores. Big player in this game was Chris Carson, 32 carries for $102.
Yeah, he did pretty well.
I really do say though that Brandon Marshall does need to retire. He's fucking horrible.
Yeah, I mean he's getting old, man. I mean it's that time. I mean, just like hang up the gloves and just call it good. You don't want to go. That's one of the things about players. I think you don't want to go out, and it's like you're forced to go out because you've gotten so old and you've gotten so bad that it's just kind of. It's just like, man, go out. You want to go out on a high note, and he's just not doing it right now.
It's unreal, though. I did watch a lot of this game, besides as well as the next game that we're going to go over. But I got to tell you, Dallas contained fucking Russell Wilson the entire day.
Yeah.
When you contain him, you should normally be able to win a game. And I mean, Dallas is not great right now. They don't have a lot of offensive weapons besides Zeke, and I think that's going to be a very big key. And if you don't have weapons, then you're not going to win a lot of games.
No, you're not. I know you've already talked about this, but you look at this stuff like if you don't have that many weapons, you look at the Raiders Dolphins game again. That was like. They've won they led the whole team. He's thrown for 76% on the season. And then, but if you don't have the weapons to actually get the ball into the end zone, then you're doing nothing. I mean, they just lead the whole game and then just drop it at the last 8 minutes of the fourth quarter. But I don't want to harp too much on that game anymore. But yeah, I mean, I thought the Cowboys did well, and it's just this like the Seahawks. They had to wake up. I mean, it was inevitable that they were. I mean, they're 1-2.
Yeah.
So both teams are 1-2 now.
Well, I think though that the only thing that really helps either team at this point is the defense. Again, Dallas contained Russell Wilson. That's a feather in anybody's hat whatsoever.
Yeah.
But Seattle's defense is still not the same. It's like it's more like the Legion of Explosion instead of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Kind of toned down a lot.
Oh yeah.
So
definitely toned it down quite a bit.
So we actually split on that game.
Who did I take? I took Seahawks.
Yeah, you took the Seahawks and I took the Cowboys. Or I should say the Cowgirls.
Hell yeah. I thought they had a chance on this one, man. I mean, the Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys had a chance, but I don't know, man. I got to go with the Seahawks just because I just don't like the Cowboys. But that's just personal favorites. My biggest thing is the next game here.
Yes.
What the hell is going on? I think I've talked way too much shit on the Bears in the last few years that now it's coming to bite me in the ass.
Well, I got to tell you though, I'm looking at the numbers, and the final score of this game was Bears 16, Cardinals 14. Arizona did have a 14 fucking point lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm incorrect. Arizona had a 14-point lead after the first quarter, and then just had no offensive after that. Trubisky 24-35, 220 and a pick. Jordan Howard, mind you, I said to you in the beginning of the year, Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen were going to be beasts. Combined 29 carries for 114 yards. that is a fucking two-headed monster in itself.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll over to Arizona because, again, the receiving stats, I mean, Trubisky did throw for 220, but receivers really didn't have fucking great numbers in that game. Bradford got hurt in this game, 13 of 19 for 157, 2 scores and 2 picks. And then Josh Rosen came in and stunk up the joint, 4 for 7, 36 yards and a pick.
So is Bradford out for the season, or is it just was it?
To honestly tell you, I haven't heard anything of how severe the injury is. But then again, you know what? They don't really regard him as a bigger quarterback like Jimmy G. So when we go into the preview for the games on Friday, we'll have more info on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
but yeah, I mean, I think the Bears are looking pretty dang good this year. I mean, they're not going to the Super Bowl by any means, but still started off the season with a 2-1. That's probably one of the best seasons they've had in the past few years. The Cardinals, I just don't know. I can't say anything because I'm a Raiders fan, and they're 0-3, and we're 0-3. So, I mean, I can't really knock it. Like, hey, you know what, dude? Sometimes that shit happens.
Well, I'm kind of I kind of look over some of these numbers though, and you look at the fact that probably, if not slated, one of the best running backs. I'm not saying the best, but one of the best running backs that they had slated for this year was David Johnson, and he is having a miserable year.
Yeah.
In this game here, he only had 12 carries for 31.
12 carries for 31, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's like your everything back, and he's just not getting the job done. Even Larry Legend, only 2 catches for 9 yards, was just not very great for them.
No.
I kind of see that team being broken up by week 6.
Yeah. We'll see. You know, it's any given Sunday in the NFL, man. Like, you never know. Like, they could start off terrible, and they could spark up a fire, and then all of a sudden just, like, blow it out for the rest of the season, you know, and it just set off. So, who knows? I mean, you really never know, but, I mean, so far I haven't seen anything that the Cardinals have done that is going to do, that they're going to even be a contender this year. But the Bears they're looking good. Good for them. Good for the Bears.
Okay, so we're gonna
need a couple wins.
I gotta tell you though, like I really thought that them getting a few pieces. I mean, obviously you add fucking Khalil Mack, fucking like you jump started that day
every week.
No, but I mean, how can you not? That's the fun thing about it, though. How can you not?
Yeah.
Because he basically went into a system that he really doesn't know, unless he got faxed all of this information in the offseason that he was going to the Bears, but he picked up that defense really fast.
Yeah, quick. I mean, but he's in. I mean, that's why he's already staked to be a defensive player of the year, man. It doesn't surprise me that he just picked it up. That he's an intelligent, very intelligent player. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that they're all of a sudden that he just went in there and then started taking care of business, because that's what he does. As a player, like when you acquire a player like Khalil Mack, that's exactly what you're going to get from him.
Yeah.
So what you think you're going to get from him, that's what you're going to get, and you're probably going to get a little bit more when it comes to your defense. I mean, he's just already kicking ass, and he's already learned their defense, and he's also he's bringing up these guys' morale to play like a bunch of animals. I mean, he's got this defense that really wasn't 100. I mean, they weren't greatest. I mean, they've made some good trades here and there, but adding a leader like Mack onto your defense, it's like you got an extra defensive coordinator.
It's unreal.
And he's on the field there with them.
It's absolutely unreal how much of a difference one player actually really does make for a defense. And I got to tell you though, and I'm going to kind of bring up some names, but when you see guys like Mac doing things like that, you kind of think of like Von Miller running around, old school LT. You know, you kind of see those. You kind of see it as that kind of like evolution of defensive player.
Oh, agreed. I completely agree. I mean, I'm gonna be. He's definitely gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's up there, yeah, with your Von Millers, your Charles Woodsons, and stuff like the guys like that are just that were beasts, and then they became their on-field leaders and get people to rally around them, and then it worked. They get them all to work as a unit, and that's what he's very good at. And so now we're seeing the benefits of it now for Chicago.
Well, it definitely was one of the games that kind of got me into the Sunday night game, Lions and Pats. All I'm going to say...
Have you been licking your wounds all week, or what?
Actually, you know what? I rewatched this game twice. Okay? Twice. After watching it live Sunday night. And I kind of actually did some game footage on this, and you can tell the difference when you don't have all of your starters in the game. Now this game, they went into this game without their strong safety. Patrick Chung, out. Best pass rusher, out. Obviously, your top receiver and Julian Edelman, he's got one more week, and then he comes off the suspension list. Gordon didn't play. That probably would have been a big key. And there were a lot of pieces missing. And you know what? I looked at numbers from other teams, especially the Titans, because that's where Malcolm Butler went. Malcolm Butler is the worst rated cornerback this year. His numbers are the bottom of the barrel numbers for corners this year. So maybe at this point, Patriots Nation should realize that getting rid of Butler was actually a good thing because his numbers are on the decline to begin with. But whenever a player actually does leave the Pats, their numbers always fall off the table anyway. So Belichick is going to be he's going to get known for this one, that he got rid of Butler for a reason. But the Pats have a lot of missing pieces, and it definitely showed that first drive. Detroit literally did run through them. Let me get to the Detroit numbers here. Because surprisingly enough, this is probably some of the best numbers Detroit's had through 3 games. Stafford, 27 of 36, 262, 2 scores and a pick. Detroit had their first 100-yard rusher in quite a long time. I think it was like 2003. Kerryon Johnson, 16 carries for 101. Blunt, 16 for 48. Stafford did spread the ball around for 27 completions. He got 6 to Tate, 4 to Jones. Kenny Golladay is going to be an up-and-coming receiver. That's a number that you definitely want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he did pretty well. What do you got? 53 yards, right?
Yeah. But
7 targets.
But the great thing about him is he's a really tall, lanky receiver, and he has ups. So that's going to be every player in the NFL, if they can stay healthy for a long period of time, and obviously we all know football is a rough game, if they stay healthy, they have the potential to become superstars.
Yeah, especially with his height and his his ups. I mean, he turned. What's the average target area for a receiver? Is it like 20 feet?
Yeah.
Like that's a 20-foot radius. And now with his size, he's got maybe 25, 27. I mean, that's adding on to. I mean, that's just you're just making a bigger target area, and I mean I think he's going to be. That's definitely going to fucking help the Lions. You know what? I feel bad for the Patriots, but I feel good for the Lions. You know that's probably one of those teams that beating the Patriots is a team that. I mean that's just a morale booster right there. I mean, it really is. Because once they're like, man, we beat the Patriots this year. Holy shit, they've won Super Bowl after Super Bowl. They've been to the Super Bowl the past 3 years. Weird, badass.
Yes, but here's also...
So maybe that'll give them a morale booster for them, and then they do a little bit better this year.
It'll give the morale booster to Detroit. However, now I'm saying this as a general NFL stat. I'm not saying this as a Pats fan, because I was reminded about this about 12 times since fucking Sunday night at midnight. Okay? The Patriots never start off good in September. Never. It is historical in the Belichick era that it takes the month of September for the Pats to gel, and then once October 1 comes, gloves are off. That's it. The foot is on the gas, and they are, going playoff prime. And again, like I said, there's a lot of missing pieces. There's no Edelman. Again, no Josh Gordon because he didn't know the playbook still. And he is nursing that hammy. But I got to tell you, they are showcasing their rookie running back, possibly the wave of the future, in Sony Michel. I mean, things are probably going to really turn around. That's what you just got to look at. Everybody will see this 1 and 2.
Very true.
Everybody will see this 1 and 2 start in 2 months and be like, "Oh shit, what happened to that?"
Yeah. No, I don't think the Patriots are down and out this year. I don't. I mean, it's game 3. I don't really think anybody's down and out. I mean, it's too ignorant to say that these guys had a bad week, first 3 weeks. Okay, but I mean, if we go back and we look at the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not picking on them because they're a rival. I'm picking on them because you hear the same thing every year from every Chiefs fan. This is going to be our year. We're going to the Super Bowl. They make bets. They do stupid shit. And then they get to the first round of the play. They win the first 5 or 6 games, and they're on fire. And then they shit the bed, and it's just like, hey guys, remember when we won those first 5 games and how awesome that was? I hope you enjoyed it because we're gonna not do that now. Because I mean, it really is. It really is like that they do it every year, and they're always a team that says, this is our year, this is our year. Well, it's been your year since the 60s, and it ain't happened yet. So, I mean, that's why I can't just, look at I can't even the Cardinals, even the Raiders, and what's the other team that hasn't won a game yet this year? There's only 3 of them. There's Raiders, Cardinals, and I can't fucking remember.
Oh, I gotta look. I'm gonna have to look. Hold on. Before I let's see here. Standings. Not in the AFC.
Oh, the Texans.
Yeah.
The Texans. So I mean, still, third game of the season. We're into week 4. I don't think there's any way that you can count those teams out later on this season. So they had a bad start. Okay, they got to figure out how to work on that. Now, some of them, am I saying they're all going to have breakout seasons? No, I'm not saying that. I'm a realist. But I can't go, you can't look at the Patriots like, oh, man, they're 1 and 2. The Patriots suck this year. No. We've seen this before. The Patriots, like what you said, the Patriots start off like shit in September. And everybody, I hear the same story every year. Oh, man, the Patriots are going to suck. Look at we see them in the Super Bowl in January or February. So there's nothing. I mean, you're in week 3 going into week 4. There's nothing we can't really make any assumptions at this point in time. Now, if we're into week 6 and they're 3 and 3 or they're 2 and 4. Then we can start to make our assumptions that the Patriots are having a shitty season. But until that happens, you don't know what this team's going to do. You have a really good feeling that they're going to be a good team. As much as I hate to say it.
Again, but the only thing is that they're missing pieces on both sides of the ball, and like I kind of like related to it earlier, it takes the month of September for a lot of teams to gel just to start.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you probably can start off 0-3, and then you end up winning 13 games in a row. It's not feasible that it won't happen, but it could.
It's not unheard of.
But it can happen that way, though.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get to the Monday night game, we kind of briefly touched on it the last 2 days after seeing all the highlights of it or whatever. Let's get to this topic of roughing the passer.
Okay.
Now,
let's talk about it.
Now, obviously, they changed the rule with the fact of it being that the way that the quarterback is tackled by over excessive weight, the lowering of the crown of the helmet was another thing. Going for the head of the quarterback, obviously another thing. I got to tell you, Clay Matthews is probably not one of the dirtiest players as a linebacker in the game. However, he has been nailed 3 times already this year for the roughing the passer penalty, including this last week's. Now, the last 2 weeks, I can understand the gripe because there was not an actual helmet used in the tackling of the quarterback. The first week there was, and he did take the blame for it. Obviously, that week 1 game against the Bears, it wasn't a big deal because the Packers won. But now week 2, that 15-yard pass play penalty was a result in them going to overtime and finishing in a tie. And now this week, roughing the passer cost them the game. Your comments?
Man, I mean, I don't know. Like, so when do we get the flags out and just start playing flag football? That's what I don't know. I mean, like football. I understand you don't want guys like running in, like spearing people and heading in with their with their helmets. That can be detrimental to both players. But football is a contact sport. If I'm flying, I mean, you have to look at basic physics. If you're flying to try to tackle somebody, like, man, it's kind of hard to get. Like, you can't move in. We're not, they're not superheroes. They can't move in midair very well. Like, I don't understand, like, why they're being such sticklers on this now. Because it's just a new. I mean, the roughing the passers has always been a rule, but now they're just being more. They're scrutinized, or they're ducking down on it more, and they kind of adapted it, right?
Well,
they changed the rules on how what there's no helmet contact. You can't lead in with your helmet and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but now for my issue is this, okay? A quarterback is a player on the field.
Yeah.
If you were to go to put this rule back, let's jump this back for a lot of the people that probably know it, a lot of the older people that watch the show, okay? Put that back on the players like Jack Youngblood from back in the day, Ed Too Tall Jones from back in the day, Lawrence Taylor back in the day, Reggie White.
Mm-hmm.
These were guys that came out and played football, and they played it the way the fucking game is. Football is not a fucking pussy sport. If you want to be a pussy, go play soccer, go play tennis, golf, whatever.
Come on now, soccer's not a pussy sport. They have to run a lot.
They run a lot, but they don't get tackled. That's where my point of this is.
They do, though. Yeah, that's true. It's not a full contact sport. I mean, it can be, but generally it's not as violent of a sport as football.
To me, though, that if you're on that field, you have pads on, you have a helmet on, you should not be sitting there being afraid to be hit. Plain and simple.
No.
Quarterbacks are a football player.
Yeah, you're a target, man. That's the whole point of the game, is to get the ball away from you. You have the ball, they're literally trying to get to you first. I mean, that's the whole point of the game. I can understand, like, the roughing the kicker, because the kicker, the dude doesn't have very many pads on. Like, he's got, like, the wimpiest looking shoulder pads, and he doesn't have any leg protection on. But he's not supposed to get hit. Like, he's just supposed to just kick the ball, and here we go. You know, let's just see if he can do this. But that's why they have roughing the passer. You don't want to hit that guy, or roughing the kicker. Now, you're the quarterback, dude. You're in the game the whole time. I'm sorry, you're another player. This isn't practice when you've got your red shirt on and they're not supposed to hit you.
Oh, but still,
This is the real deal.
At this point, though, here's my argument to the whole kickers thing. All right, now the kickers, obviously, their lines are there, whether it's fucking special teams or the offensive lines or whatever. Okay, but kickers are in more of a vulnerable position than a quarterback is. Okay, now you bring up the point of a quarterback being a target. They're just as much of a target as a running back is, just as much of a target as a wide receiver is. The difference in it is, though, is that quarterbacks are sitting targets, where wide receivers and running backs are moving targets. Okay?
Well, I don't know if I necessarily can agree with that, because, I mean, they got legs, too.
Yes, but
they can run.
And so one of the comments that they have in there, they're using this rule to protect their $100+ million quarterbacks that are now in the NFL, which is a load of garbage.
Yeah.
Because they didn't get there from just sitting there having tea parties and selling frickin' Mary Kay products to get these fucking contracts. These guys actually had to actually play football, which means you were going to get hit, regardless of whether you had the ball or not. But I think what they really do need to do is they need to fine-tune the rule. They really do need to fine-tune the rule. And if you're going to have the roughing the passer penalty, maybe it should be referee review then.
I think so. I mean, but that's going to take more time from the game. The games are going to be longer, because they're going to have to, anytime a quarterback gets sacked, then they're going to have to review this shit, and it's just going to take all the fun out of it. Basically, I'm not saying that they're, by trying to make the game a little bit safer, I'm not saying they're taking the fun out of it, but, you know, we want all these players to be safe. Don't want anybody getting hurt. But at the end of the day, like what you said, this is a contact sport. When I played football in high school, I knew that it was my parents signed a waiver. They're like, hey, we know that your kids get fucked up playing this game. But if you say it's okay for him to play it, okay.
Listen,
you know you're going to get hit. If you go into a game as a quarterback and you're like, well, oh my God, he hit me. Yeah, that's his job. He gets paid so many $1 million a year to hit you. Like, I don't see why. I can understand if it's excessive. If it's excessive, you know, if it's a late hit, the ball's already in the air, and that's roughing the quarterback. But, I mean, still, you have to look at it, too. If there's momentum there, like if that guy's already in the air going towards you and you let go of the ball, how is he going to stop? He is not a superhero. He can't fly. Like, there's no way to stop an object that is in motion will stay in motion until another force acts upon it. Well, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're that other force that is acting upon this guy, because he's flying through the air to you. So, I mean, I don't know. I think they look at it. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I mean, I guess you can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't. I think there's way too much. They're babying them. I feel like they're babying these guys because they've put so much money into these these players, and they don't want. Of course, they don't want them to get hurt. So they got to adapt the rules just so and so doesn't get hurt. Well, that just takes away from the game.
Well, just think of it this way, though, and this is kind of like the little bit of the last point of my argument. Now, obviously, these guys really do fucking put a lot of money into these fucking players. But if you think about it, now you're protecting them in the pocket. Now, again, perfect example, a fucking non-contact injury put a fucking quarterback into the ground. So
you talking about Jimmy G?
Jimmy G with a non-contact torn ACL, which happened to fucking Teddy Bridgewater the year before in the preseason when he was fucking practicing.
Yeah.
It was a non-contact injury. So, you know what? Again, if a quarterback is injured behind the line, I could see it as an issue. But now you look at the age of you pay players money, you want to protect them, then a lot of other conditions need to change as well.
Yeah.
So, but to me though, football is played, you're fucking going to get hit. People are going to fucking hit you, regardless of what side of the ball you're on. And I think that if they're going to continue to do this, they might as well just wrap every quarterback in fucking bubble wrap and put them in a bubble.
Like that kid in the Little Giants.
Yes.
That kid in the Little Giants that he comes up wrapped in like styrofoam. My mom said the pads you gave me weren't enough.
Which is actually pretty funny, though.
That's what it's going towards. But that's like the quarterback is no, and I agree with you. The quarterback is no different than any other swinging dick out on that field, man. They're all paid to be there, but they're all expecting to get hit by somebody eventually. You know, so or to hit somebody eventually. That's part of the story, part of the sport. And they go like, you know, getting hit and football go hand in hand. So I think they need to back up on some of these rules. Or yeah, then every time a quarterback gets hit, let's take more time out of the game, and then let's definitely go and review the play to make sure that he didn't do a no when he was doing his job.
Yeah, because it's just obscene. It really is. It impacted a game 3 weeks in a row, which is just absolutely nuts.
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't see how they're going to fix it. Because you do, I mean, I've played football. Like, you're going in there, you're not thinking about what you're doing. You're just, all you know is you got to get that guy with the ball before he hands it off to the other guy or throws it to the other guy, and you want to get him on the ground quick. You're not really thinking about, like, okay, should I come in? I need to come in at this angle. The wind needs to be just so, and then I need to come around this way so as not to hurt him and get a penalty. No, just like, okay, my job, get the guy on the ground. Boom, down on the ground. Oh, I've got a penalty. Fuck. I guess I'll just go fuck myself. I just did my job, and I get penalized for it. So, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know not to go and lead with your head, but
it's just
I think they're just coddling these dudes.
And I think the rule really does need to change, though. It really does.
Yeah, I do too. I definitely do. They're already getting a lot of backlash for it. Now, what happened to the dude from the? Did I read somewhere that the guy from the Patriots or from the Packers that we were talking about, did he get suspended?
I don't think Matthews got suspended. I know he's been fined pretty big for the last 3 weeks, though.
Yeah. Okay. So he got fined for it, which is dumb. Like, he's just doing his job. I don't know what else to say.
And I got to tell you, I've never seen fucking I've never actually seen Clay Matthews in that villain fucking defensive player thing. First of all, I've liked Clay Matthews since day one when he got into the NFL.
Yeah.
He's just he first off, he's a freak athlete. That's one. Okay? Two, you can see his motor is always going, hurt or not. And he fucking motivationally, he's fucking out there. So I really can't I really can't knock him. I mean, he goes out, he does his job every week, plays hurt. He's an unbelievable player. And for them to kind of like rain down on this method of playing or the level of playing, I think is just really obscene.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I don't think I mean, I've never noticed that guy to be a malicious athlete. I mean, he goes and he gets the job done, but he's not trying to hurt anybody. He's just trying to play the sport. And I think that with this new rule, they're just like, they're raining down on him. And so, I mean, yeah, and so this guy's going to have to pay money for something that for just doing his job. I mean, well, I guess, but I think they need to revise this rule. Because it's all that part. I mean, I know they've always had roughing the passer, but all this new stuff, it's all this year, right?
Yeah, a lot of it's all this year, especially with the ruling of the crown of the helmet. That's all supposed to be for the CTE stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, they kind of briefly had started that last year, but then they abbreviated the rule this year. So
okay.
Now there's obviously going to be a little bit more fucking analyzing on all of these tackles and everything, and it obviously does change the fact that now when you're going through training camp and mini camp and preseason and now even practices during the week, that you now have to relearn how to tackle someone.
Yeah. After you've been doing it for so many years a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're changing the game. I mean, I like I said, I agree. We don't want anybody to get we want to try to avoid people getting hurt as much as possible, but at the end of the day, we're playing football. That's the nature of the game. That's it. It's been the same way. I mean, you've made everybody's made their advancements in protection over the past few, over the last several years or decades. But at the end of the day, this sport is a full contact violent sport, and there's just no way to get around it. But so, these guys have learned how to play one way, and I was like, oh yeah, by the way, the way you've been playing for the last 10 years or 15, 20 years of your life, yeah, we're going to change that now. You can't do that anymore. You have to take him to ask him to take him to dinner first before you sack the quarterback, and ask his permission before you do so. I don't know.
All right, so
that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I guarantee you, this is going to end up being more of a conversation on Friday. I did put the phone number up. Obviously, a lot of people were actually probably getting ready for bed when the show started, so who knows.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you, I think maybe we should take some phone calls on that on Friday and get fan opinion about it. We're going to finish up the evening with Pittsburgh and Tampa, the Monday night game. I'll honestly tell you, I did not watch this game, although I did watch the highlights. Pretty obscene. Pittsburgh had a 30-10 lead at halftime and only won the game by 3 points. I think Fitzpatrick has a fucking lucky charm jammed so far up his ass that it just keeps repeating. 30 of 50, 411 yards passing, 3 scores, and 3 picks. This is now the 3rd straight game he's had over 400 yards passing.
Mm-hmm.
As usual, Tampa's run game, not that great. And Fitzpatrick had 27 out of the 63 yards rushing. Big night for Mike Evans, 6 catches, 137. Going to flip over to the Steelers. Big Ben's efficient game. 30 of 38, 353, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Overall, rushing for the Steelers, 22 carries on 78 yards. And I got to tell you, the unknown in Juju Smith-Schuster, 9 catches, 116. Antonio Brown, 6 catches for 50. And then a lot of passes out of the backfield. Titans didn't have very many catches. Vance McDonald, 4 catches for 112. Any comments on this game? Because to honestly tell you,
man, see, I watched a little bit of it, man, and I watched about a bit of the first half, and I thought that's the best football that Roethlisberger's played all year. And then I was like, oh man, they've just got it. Like like Roethlisberger woke up. Holy shit! He's just like, the Steelers are now a contender again. And then I checked the score later on in the evening. I'm like, the final score was 30-27. Like, they were killing Tampa Bay, just walking all over them. Like, Tampa didn't really do anything significant in the first half of the game, and then they just opened up. Second half, and I was like, how do they almost win? Like the game I watched, they must have just shut down and like they almost pulled the Raiders and then all right guys, it's 30-0 at halftime, so I think there's no way they can beat us now. And then went to the locker room, did some lines of blow, and then came back out. And then the Buccaneers were just like, all right, well we're gonna start playing this half. And yeah, I mean, they did a really good job at trying to come back, man. I don't know, like it's like they just the Steelers just like rolled over and died in the second half, or just didn't even show up. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say about it. I mean, they if Roethlisberger, if the Steelers play like this for the rest of the season, they're not going to do anything because they're gonna keep having this weird, what is there, 1-1-1?
Yeah.
So they're going to keep having. They're probably going to be having like 2-2-1, and then 3-3-1. Like they're not going to be doing fantastic. Because I was the first part of the game, I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, where the hell has Roethlisberger been this year? And it was like, finally, I guess he decided to come play today. Awesome. And they were away. I was like, he plays terrible on the road. He's playing amazing right now. Well, until the second half when he just, I mean, they didn't. I'll tell you this. Like, I've gotten in discussion groups. Look, you got to look at his passing. 30 out of 38. He was doing his job.
I got to tell you, that was probably the best I've seen Roethlisberger ever, really.
Yeah, he did his job. And then you look at, Smith did his job, McDonald did his job, Brown, yeah, he did okay. But it just starts to dwindle down as it goes. Like, the guy's yardage gets lower and lower. So maybe the defense played better in the second half. I don't know. Tampa Bay's defense in the second half played better in the second half. But I know their offense definitely woke up. So I don't know how to describe. I think I'm more interested to see what Tampa does the rest of this year than I really am looking at Pittsburgh. Because I kind of felt like that in the second half they just like rolled over and died. So, and luckily enough, their defense held Tampa Bay back by enough to win by 3 points.
Well, so we have the Thursday night pick. Obviously, it's Rams and Vikings. It's in LA. Any quick pick for that game?
I'm gonna go. You know what, man? I think I'm gonna go with the Vikings. I don't know. I can't. No, I can't. I can't go with the Vikings. I'm gonna have to go with the Rams, man. The Rams are just too good this year. Now, granted, they lost their best defensive backs, but the rest of the defense is pretty damn good too. And Goff is doing amazing. I mean, really, but I mean, Kirk Cousins, he's doing pretty well. I just think that the Rams they're going to go. I mean, after that game against the Bills, man, I don't know. That's a toughie. But they're in L.A. I know the Vikings were doing well this year, and then they got their asses handed to them by the Bills. So they could be wanting, they're on the road, but they're going to be hungry now. But I still say that the Rams have way too much. The ball is already rolling for them, and their momentum is going to get them through this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like the Bills versus Vikings, but I definitely see the Rams taking this one.
Well, I'm actually going to agree with you on the Rams. I got to tell you, I'm loving that fucking balance that they have offensively, defensively. That front four, man, Sue and Donald.
Yeah.
Who do you game plan against? Even to just try to figure out who to stop in that. But honestly, I really think if the Minnesota Vikings defense got cut up by Buffalo. I mean, yeah, it was a surprise, and Buffalo did have short field the first half. I gotta say, I'm really thinking that the Rams could have the advantage on that. They could really cut up the Vikings defense. They have so much firepower.
Yeah, and Marcus Peters is not out. He's questionable to play.
The article that I have, what do I have right now? It says Talib and Peters could miss several weeks.
Oh, really?
Talib suffered a high ankle sprain in the win. And
yeah, I know he's definitely out. I'm looking at the ESPN stat here, and like they're saying, like they just as their injury list, they said Peters is questionable. Talib is definitely out, but I'm gonna go ahead and say what happened to Peters?
Peters had a calf strain, could be out for 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I bet he's not playing. They're not gonna get that guy hurt or even more hurt. But so those two will be out of the game. But like I agree, man. Their offense is they're kicking ass and taking names, man. I mean, their defense is just one half of it, but the offense is doing a fantastic job this year.
Believe it or not,
and so
they have Sam Shields backing up, Nickel Roby Coleman, obviously from the Broncos, and Troy Hill on their roster. They basically have a freaking like 3 sets of defensive backs on their team.
Set of starters, or three sets of starters.
Yeah. So
they'll be fine.
The Rams will be fine.
Yeah. So,
all right.
I'm gonna go Rams confidently, and say that's what's gonna happen.
All right. So that's our episode. It's episode 3 of Arch Rivals. We'll be back Friday evening with the Week 4 picks for the NFL season. We'll review the Thursday night game of Vikings-Rams. And till Friday, we'll catch you all then.
Yep, see you guys on the flip side.
Well, I was not expecting to get an arch rival today, but here we are.